So Dave, we're going to bring the first question around to you. And one of the big issues, I've had to face this, and some people may think that the year's already started, so why are we talking about budget? But not all companies run on a calendar year budget. Some companies are still very deep into their budget planning process. So the first question we have is really, how do you make sure that you budget appropriately, or your programs are aligned, and what are the key elements that you guys look at for your vendors or your distributors when allocating these budget plans?
Well, okay, let's start with an easy one, just sarcastically. So I guess there's no one size fits all. And I like to think of this from two different directions. One is selling the budget into the finance execs internally. And then the other one is you'll want a system that's easy for partners. So if I start with it's a balancing act. If I start with the finance side, MDF ROI is usually more difficult to explain. It's less clear than other incentive programs on how it works, so it's more difficult to justify this particular budget. So what I do is I start at the high level. I start the discussion with finance, with the CFO, with the overall value of the channel. So for us, I look at channel participation, which is the amount, like all the business that's transacting through partners, and then I look at deal registration, which is business that your company, as a vendor, we wouldn't have had except for partners. So it's new business that they're bringing. And for me, that's a good place to start because that highlights the value of the whole partner program to someone like an executive, like a CFO, who's really trying to understand why they need to invest and provide budget for this. For us, more than 80% transact through partners, and more than 30% is new business that's coming in through deal registration. Now, if we narrow it down and go to the MDF benefit of the program, I try to look at two areas that we're benefiting the company. One is that we're trying to create awareness of our brand in the market, and I kind of think of this as an extension of our marketing team. And two is to generate new business, which I think of as an extension of our sales team. So when MDF is spent the right way, then the program delivers both on brand awareness and new business. So these are all things that, for me, I just feel like, let's talk. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty and say, oh, we're going to give partner X, X percent of their sales from last year, and get into that level of detail with any executives that are trying to get the budget. So that helps me get a good budget. Now let's look at the partner side. So we've had success building flexibility in our program that we can adapt to different partner types and their experience in the market. So up until the last few years, and that was one of the questions, I'm curious, I can't wait to see the answers to those polls, but up until the last few years, MDF allocation was generally tied to a small percentage of partner revenue, maybe 2%, 3%, or whatever. So depending on how well the partner performed the last year, they got a dollar allocation directly related to their sales achievement. But more recently, and this will be interesting from the poll, proposal-based programs have become the majority. And I'm going to tell you that it's the only way to go. I mean, if you're doing that allocation for those individual partners, and you end up with a partner that's getting $300, and they don't know how to spend marketing money, and they don't know how, there's not enough to spend money on, then it's just not going to work. So proposal is has become the majority, and this enables, again, more funds to be available to partners who are more inclined to use them. And then the last piece for us, we manage the program through, I kind of call it best of both worlds. We do manage our program through our distributors. So it's a little bit of that best of both worlds where we accrue kind of a fixed 2% of disty revenue that we use for MDF. We call it co-op in our case. But then we direct the resellers to tap into that benefit through their distributor. And we're still working with them on their business plans, the resellers, and how to make the most of those investments. But now a smaller reseller who has a great idea might be able to tap into a bigger pool of money by using this proposal methodology and tapping into the money that we provide to the disties. And it also provides flexibility for new partners that maybe haven't had revenue stream so that they've earned a percentage. I kind of call that jumpstart program, where again, a new partner could tap in to the reseller and spend part of the MDF and co-op to get just set up and trained and kind of start running some of the campaigns that would help them get going as a new partner. So I guess to sum it up, I would say that from my perspective, the key to success is getting a successful budget is kind of flexibility. Make sure you keep it high level when you're asking for the budget. Make sure you're delivering something that's flexible for the partners so the right people are taking advantage of it, and you'll get a better ROI.
No, that's great. That makes a lot of sense. And I think we have definitely seen the proposal-based drawing much more popular or growing in popularity. I'll be interested to see that poll result as well. And another thing it is, when you're doing the proposal-based as a leader, you get to see what's effective, what's working, and you get ideas that you may not have seen before coming in from the partner. And so then you're able to sort of double down or invest or guide partners and those types of things in the future. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Just real quick, before we throw up the next, so we're going to do two questions or two between our segments here. Janelle or Kenneth, anything to add on that before we bring up the next section?
I agree. We do things similarly. We don't accrue by partner. I've done that in the past, so I've ran both models before. What we've seen as most effective from an MDF perspective is having a budgetary by region, and then we have a global bucket, and then we also have a separate bucket. And the global bucket's kind of like if we run out in region, we have a little bit of extra buffer, and then our overall GSI budget is actually completely separate. And then we kind of adjust those every single year based on activities we want to drive, and based on the movement that we saw the previous year in each region and how that was being allocated and used. And we also, everything is similar as project-based. You submit a project, we have to have proof of performance and claims to access it, and then we manage the claims, and we see the direct ROI, kind of what Dave was saying, because we can see the leads, we can see the opportunities associated, we can see the agenda, the list of people are in attendance, and just overall the value that is added not only to us, but our partners. And I think that's essential because we are building market share with them. We are going through a go-to-market strategy with them and extending through them. So we need to allocate some sort of funds to help do that. And I think if you do it on an accrual basis, especially with some of the smaller guys, you're not necessarily giving them the chance to expand and really start building their prospects and their leads. So for us, we've seen a lot of success in more of a regional and global bucket.
That makes a ton of sense. Thanks. And Kenneth, anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, just very briefly, is kind of almost reiterate that last point Janelle made around the when we see vendors moving to proposal-based MDF versus what was a traditional accrual-based up to 2 or 3 years ago, it kind of got a bit stale, let's say, because it was the same old big guys getting the same money to do the same things, and I always think that's one of the reasons finance got a bit fed up with it in terms of saying, where's the ROI? What proposal-based MDF has really revolutionized, getting some new ideas in there from maybe those up and coming or smaller partners, because it can be quite a chunk of money. We see vendors putting aside anything between 2 to 6% for MDF. Now it depends on their size and their maturity. Earlier ones spend more money on it to get their brand into the market. So it is really important how you spend that money and you are able to show the ROI, and that's kind of where proposal base works really well, so long as you determine the activities. It's not a free-for-all. It's proposal-based program brings in extra players as in extra partners, but what is important is that you list or restrict the number of activities you're going to offer to spend that money on.
So first up, we're asking, does your organization offer an MDF program to your partners? So obviously, yes, it's integral to your partner strategy, or maybe it doesn't align with your partner strategy. And of course, if it's an outright no, but you're looking currently evaluating the need to start up a program. This time around, we're asking, for those of you offering an MDF program, do you offer it as a proposal-based, accrual-based, if you offer both, or if you have something else?